Hey friends, my name is Laurel and I'm happy to be joining in on our online devotional series at the Church of Christ this week. A couple of weeks ago I was reading through the Gospel of John and I came to this passage about fear. And that was before all of the crazy events of the last couple of weeks here in Canada have taken place. And the verse that struck me was John 12:15. Do not be afraid, daughter Zion. See, your king is coming, seated on a donkey's colt. And I read through that and I thought about the directive to not be afraid. And as I thought about that, I thought, but I am afraid. And I made a big list in my journal of all the things that I'm afraid of. And then I thought, how does that relate to this directive to not be afraid? And I thought, I don't know how to do that. I don't know how to just will myself out of not being afraid. And yet there it is in Scripture. And so I made a list of all the things I was afraid of, and I set them out on my sort of metaphorical table, and I put them there for God to see. And it wasn't until later in the day until some wise friends said to me, well, what about the next part of that verse? The next part of the verse is not just do not be afraid, but daughter Zion, your king is coming, seated on a donkey's colt. And it wasn't until then, until I thought about Jesus coming to be with me in my fear. It isn't about me cranking up some kind of great wisdom and choice to not be afraid. It's actually about bringing my fear to Jesus, and he comes and is with me in my fear. You know, that passage relates to Zechariah 9:9, and John's using it and quoting from a passage in the Old Testament. In Zechariah, it says, "Rejoice greatly, daughter Zion. Shout, daughter Jerusalem. See, your king comes to you, righteous and having salvation, riding lowly on a donkey." And that somehow spoke to me too, that even in this time of fear, we are commanded not only to not be afraid, but to rejoice. And that too comes out of our God being with us. And so I leave you with that today. How is God with you in your rejoicing and in your fear? Love to hear from you. Take care, friends. Until next time, bye-bye.